An historic season continues for Canyon Lake. A week after winning their first ever district championship, the Hawks have won their first playoff game in 3 years, a 31-21 win over Gatesville this past Friday. Welcome to Hawks Football Weekly. I'm your host, Brant Freeman, with Canyon Lake head coach Charlie Drum. And coach, wins this time of year don't come easy. It didn't come easy for you last week. Just how rewarding was it to win a hard-fought game like that?
Oh, it was a great ball game. You know, Gatesville comes from a real tough district. Their only 3 losses were to state-ranked opponents. It was a great playoff game, and I'm proud of our guys and pulled it out in the fourth quarter.
Looking back at the way the game unfolded, look back at the first half, and the two teams were trading touchdowns. It was a 14-14 game late into the second quarter when you got a touchdown to pull ahead with about a minute to go until halftime. Just how big was that going into the second half?
Oh, it was huge. You know, it was a possession game. You know, they'd score, we'd score. You know, getting that touchdown late and then having them miss a field goal at the end of the half because they were getting the ball in the second half was a huge momentum.
You know, we mentioned just how tight the game was in the first half, but in the second, after you forced a punt, you get the football back and you get a 62-yard touchdown run by Tristan Chacon to pull ahead by a couple of possessions. Take us back to that play.
Oh, it was huge. You know, our defense, we challenged them at halftime because, you know, we struggled a little bit defensively in the first half. We get a stop to come out, and then Tristan has that long run, and all of a sudden, you know, we have the lead and didn't relinquish it for the rest of the game.
But of course, after that touchdown, again, Gatesville, you know, very resilient football team. They respond, make it a 7-point game again. So you go into the fourth quarter, leading 28-21, and then with about 3 minutes to go, you get a 21-yard field goal from Trenton Lorette to pull ahead by 10, a 2-possession lead. We haven't talked a lot about your kicking game this season. That was a big moment for Trenton. How big has your kicking game been this year?
Our special teams has been solid all year. You know, we haven't given up very many big plays, and we've been solid with extra points and field goals when we need them, and boy, did we need that late in the fourth quarter.
And we haven't talked a lot about your defense, but you did mention that after a tough first half, they seemed to kind of, you know, dig their heels in and played better in the second, only gave up 7 points in the second half, none of the fourth quarter. Looking at the entire football game, a 48-minute stretch, how well did your defense play?
I thought they responded well. You know, they struggled a little bit in the first half, but Gatesville's a high-powered offense. They have been all year, averaging, you know, 36, 37 points a game. And just the way they responded to that challenge was very rewarding and played really well, really in all 3 phases in the second half.
You played in a lot of tough district games this season, what was a tough 14-4 district. And by the way, the other 3 playoff teams are now going home after tough losses in the opening round this past week. And non-district, you had a couple of, you know, really tight ball games against Wimberley and Giddings. Looking back at those experiences, how much did they help you win a game like the one you did this past Friday? I
think it helps tremendously. You know, the Giddings, Wimberley, we didn't come out on top. But then we were in tough ball games with Bernie, Fredericksburg, Taylor. I think those 5 ball games helped us prepared us for, you know, that playoff atmosphere.
Well, again, the only 14-4A team left standing, the Canyon Lake Hawks, and their second-round opponent, the Pleasanton Eagles. The game we'll preview coming up next as Hawks Football Weekly continues in just a moment.
If you bank at Frost, we'll help keep your money safe. If you use your Frost debit card, the chip will make it more secure. If there's a suspicious transaction on your card, you'll get an alert. If you do, you can freeze your card with the Frost app. If you lose your phone, Touch ID login will help keep the app secure. Of course, if all you need is help from people who care, we've got that too.
Make memories of a lifetime this Thanksgiving weekend at Bernie's 18th Annual Dickens on Main celebration, Friday and Saturday, November 24th and 25th. Stroll Main Street Snowy Wonderland as you enjoy live ice sculpting, a 60-foot snow slide, photos with Santa, and of course, holiday shopping along Bernie's Hill Country Mile. Dickens on Main features fun children's activities, live performances like Bah Humbug, a one-man Christmas carol, horse-drawn carriages, food merchants, and amazing concerts each night. And admission is free. Visit dickensonmain.com for all the details.
And welcome back to Hawks Football Weekly. This week, Canyon Lake playing the Pleasanton Eagles in round 2 of the postseason. The Eagles come with a record of 10-1, and like the Hawks, a district champion this season as well. So obviously, Coach, any opponent this time of year is going to be tough. What initial impressions do you have of the Eagles?
Well, again, they were co-district champs with Somerset. Anytime you win 10 ball games, you know you're playing a good ball club. It really starts with they have a good quarterback. He can run the ball. He throws the ball, very accurate passer. and they're very opportunistic on defense. You know, they haven't given up many points except to Somerset this year.
You know, you mentioned the play of the quarterback, Johnny Zamora, touchdown and interception ratio this season of 30-2. He's averaging more than 16 yards per completion, a lot of big plays for this Eagles offense. You've played, though, against some great passing offenses this year. Wembley, Bernie, Fredericksburg, Taylor, last week against Gatesville. What makes the Eagles passing offense stand out?
Well, he's very accurate. You know, he's got 3 or 4 receivers that can catch the ball with any receivers we played against this year. And he's a threat on the ground. You know, he can tuck it and run it. But, you know, anytime you throw 30 touchdown passes, you know, contrasted with 2 interceptions, you know you're playing a very good ball player.
You face some great receivers throughout the season with those passing offenses, great quarterbacks, but great receivers with them. But your secondary has been up to the task the entire season. How impressed have you been by their play throughout the year?
Oh, they've been solid. Again, like you said, we've played some very good passing teams, and this week won't be different. You know, they're going to challenge our secondary, and hopefully we can get some pressure up front to help out those guys in the back end.
You brought up the play of the defense for Pleasanton this season. They've given up 7 points or less 5 times this year, to include a pair of shutouts. What challenges do they present defensively?
Their turnover ratio is very good, and they just fly to the football. They play with great energy. They get some momentum going, and they're hard to stop.
There is no school this week. You have a holiday coming up on Thursday with Thanksgiving. In terms of your routine and getting ready for a Friday game at 7:30, how much of an effect does all that have?
You know, we're going to practice the same amount of time. You know, it's all going to be clumped together. Practice late in the morning, but hopefully the kids will respond well. It's another first for Canyon Lake. We've never practiced during Thanksgiving break, so hopefully it goes well.
And Coach, finally, what are the keys can you break down for us that you feel like might factor into the game come Friday?
Turnovers. You know, we struggled a little bit with that in the third quarter last week, and hopefully we cure that. And Pleasanton forces a lot of turnovers, and again, you know, it's our same game plan every week. Our offense staying on the field, keeping their offense off the field.
Well, again, Canyon Lake taking on Pleasanton this Friday at 7:30 at Gustafson Stadium in San Antonio. A game we'll have for you on the Hawks Network. Our pregame coverage starts at 7:15. For head coach Charlie Drum, I'm Brant Freeman. This has been Hawks Football Weekly. Thanks as always for tuning in, and we'll see you again next week.